Hello, hi, it's me, Vicki Marie, with a cup of tea. And I've put one of my new emojis down there to let you know I'm having a cup of tea. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, um, whichever part of the world you're in. It's morning here in Spain, and it's Saturday morning. The sun's out. I'm going to get some sun later. But I just wanted to do a video just to show you another creator, Ninja Chihuahua, who has done videos to help us understand the area. You know, that the police in the Samantha Murphy case, the police are looking for Samantha's body, and you know, people are getting a bit impatient. Why haven't they found her so far? But I think when we look at the this video that I'm going to show you shortly, you know, it's like a sort of boots on the ground video that this other creator has made and has very kindly said that we can look at on my channel. I mean, you can look at it on her channel as well, of course. And I'll show you the channel later, so please go over, give her a sub or give her a like for the video, because it's very kind of her to make this video, because we're not in a position where we can be boots on the ground. I can't, you know, that's probably a little bit far away for me to go on location, much as I do like going on location. Going all the way to Australia to Ballarat might be a little bit of a push. Might cost a little bit of more dinero than I can afford. But we don't. So having this video of the actual areas that the police are searching, it gives us an insight into how difficult this task is. You know, it's not like looking for someone in a tiny, even in a small village, or even in a, you know, it's just not. It's huge area the police have got to cover, and they've only got the resources they've got. They're throwing everything at it from what I can see, but you know, they can only search one part at a time. It takes a long time, you know, to search even small areas. So they're doing targeted searches, which have so far come up with nothing. But we watched a video yesterday on the news channel with saying they have more targeted searches planned over the coming weeks. I don't think the police will rest until they do bring Samantha home. Of course, Patrick Oren Stevenson is not talking, not cooperating. So I think she's going to have to be found. I don't think he's going to help anyone to find her, because he's a twonk, of course. What a twonk is Patrick Stevenson. So that's what we're going to look at. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone, as always. Thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to everyone who likes my videos. Thank you especially to my members. Thursday nights are members live, and now you've got these new emojis you can use as well. And there's a couple of videos, you know, there are a couple of videos on my members section that I will not be releasing publicly. Okay, so what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh yeah, and I also wanted to thank some of you who've been so kind and sent super stickers or bought Ko-fis, etc. Thank you for all that. It all helps to support my channel, and I really appreciate it. And it helps my channel to grow, because it gives me more time. You know, as a lot of you know, I am a Spanish teacher. I do have a day job, so I have to fit this channel sort of taking over a little bit from the day job. I think I spend more time on my Vicki Marie channel than I do on the Spanish sometimes now. But you know, so the more the channel grows, the more I can do that, because my Spanish classes, obviously, they're my bread and butter. That I know people think you're a millionaire if you're a YouTuber, but unfortunately that's not true. Not yet anyway. Maybe one day. Okay, so let's just say hello to everybody. So Old hippie, hello. I know, old hippie, you're very down on the police. I personally am not. I think they've got a massive task to do, and I don't think it's an easy thing. But I don't think they'll stop until they find her. Hi Susie, and hi Quizzical, and hi all you that are watching at home. I know not everybody likes to join in the chat. Some people like to be more private, don't they? So, but hello to you all as well. Thank you for watching. Okay, so yeah, if you remember to please press the like button. Sometimes people press it on the way in, or sometimes people press it on the way out. I don't mind when you press the like button, but it really does help me out, and it's free, as does subscribing, which is also free. So if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, because it is free. Okay, so let's look. First of all, I just want to look at a news article or a news video that was talking about these new searches. Okay, let me just find it. Then we're going to look at the rally that took place against violence against females, because of course there have been 3 murders. Not only Samantha has been murdered this year in Ballarat, within a couple of months there have been 3 murders of 3 women. So there has been a rally against gender violence. So we're just going to watch a little bit of general information first about the search ending.
Police have conducted a fresh search of bushland near Ballarat for the body of Samantha Murphy. The search...
Sorry, I just remembered, got to light my candle. I think I'm going to need a new lighter soon, or maybe I just need to put more gas in this. So remember, I always light a candle for people who are lost one way or another, missing, for people's souls, you know, if you like, for the people that we've lost, for their families. But most importantly, you know, to bring missing people home to their families one way or another. Okay.
Was sparked by new information reportedly from a number of sources, but nothing was found at the location.
Hi, David. How just me? How Popeye the Pirate Pug? Popeye the Pirate Pug. Hi.
It comes after 22-year-old Patrick Oren Stevenson was charged with the 51-year-old's murder earlier this month. Samantha has not been seen since setting off for a morning run on February 4th.
So I just hope they find her so the family can have some answers and have a bit of closure.
Oh, right. So that's the end of that. So that was just a short video just to show you that the that the search has ended. Now I want to show you about the rally. This is the rally that was held in Ballarat to remember the 3 women that have been killed this year. So there's a lot of people turned up for it, and it's good to see there's a lot of men there as well. So, you know, this is Hannah Maguire, Rebecca, and Samantha Murphy. This rally is to remember their names and to protest against gender violence. And the woman that's leading it, Sissy, she was attacked a year earlier, almost to the day, before Samantha was murdered. It's the police are saying Samantha's murdered. Oh, sorry. Hang
That's the poll.
on.
And Samantha Murphy,
Yes, I forgot to
hundreds
change it over.
marching
Thank
as
you,
one.
Charlie.
The Ballarat
I forgot to change it over. Now you should be able to see it in a minute. Yeah, right. Let's start it again. So there's all those different people there and different ages. You know, there were children, there's older women, there's men. You know, it's good to see that. It is good to see that. I don't know if it'll make any difference whatsoever, unfortunately, but it's good to see.
They have, you know, friends, family. There's
Hi, Yvonne Payne.
a whole entire community around that one person that matters.
Okay, so that is the that was the rally that they held yesterday. Now I also want to show you. Now Mick spoke at that rally. Samantha's husband Mick was at the rally. Let me just find the article. I'll remember to share it this time. So the Ballarat March, a rally for Samantha Murphy, Hannah Maguire and Rebecca Young. So Samantha was, I think Samantha, we know that case the best, don't we? Or, you know, Samantha was the 51-year-old mother of 3, went out for a jog, didn't come back. Hannah Maguire is a young girl who was killed by her ex-boyfriend. And the police initially thought it was a suicide, even though they found her body in a burnt out car. Wasn't until they did the actual autopsy and they saw that she'd been violently attacked. And then there's Rebecca Young, who was murdered, the police say, in a murder-suicide by her living partner. And then he took his own life. So these 3 women have all died. What they have got in common is they're all women. And they've all died this year within a couple of months in the same area, in Ballarat. Okay, so Samantha's husband has thanked the Ballarat community for their support at a rally calling for an end to violence against women after Miss Murphy, Hannah Maguire and Rebecca Young were all killed in the Victorian city in just 2 months. Michael Murphy said he had not planned to speak to the crowd, but felt compelled when he saw 1,000 community members turn out on Friday night, many with handwritten sounds. So 1,000 people, that's a lot of people, isn't it? So he said, I'd like to thank you all for coming and supporting the families of the 3 women. If you see something that's not right, speak up, let the authorities know. On a positive note, the support here behind the women and the violence is incredible. I bring Sam home. Oh, this will, you know, it doesn't say much to make me cry, but I bring Sam home chant echoed loud from the crowd. So here's Samantha, Hannah, and no picture of Rebecca. Do you know, there's not so many pictures of Rebecca around. I've looked for pictures of Rebecca. It's difficult to find a picture of her. Anyway, here's Mick at the rally, and he spoke at the rally calling for an end to violence against women on Friday night. Oh. So it all looks very emotional. It's good to see some young men there as well, because of course 2 of these murders that have been committed by very young men. You know, Patrick Stevenson, 22. The other guy, I just know his name is Lackey or something, but I always pronounce it wrong. But I don't care that I pronounce it wrong, to be honest, because I don't have any respect for him. He's 21, 22. So 2 of the murderers in these cases are young men. I think that's what's surprising as well. Oh, here you go. There's a picture of Rebecca. So yeah, 3 women lost within a couple of months in the same area. Very unusual. And last year, no homicides whatsoever in that area. So Miss Murphy vanished from her home in Ballarat East while going for a run February the 4th. Patrick Oren Stevenson has been charged. But searches for her body resumed this week but proved unsuccessful. Ms. Maguire, Hannah Maguire, 23, was allegedly murdered by her ex-boyfriend Lachlan Young a week ago. And Ms. Young, Rebecca Young, was found dead inside a property on the edge of Ballarat in February, alongside her partner Ian Butler, who has ties to the Bandidos bikie gang. They always keep pushing this bikie gang. I'm sure the bikie gang, they're not all murderers. In a suspected murder-suicide, but is suspected, and I've received emails from people who insist that he is innocent. So we'll see. There's an investigation. You know, maybe he was innocent. Who knows? That the investigation's got to prove that. So yeah, all these people turned up for the rally. Men, women, young, old boys, girls. It is inspiring. I think what we have to remember is there's 1,000 people turned out there, and there are 3 twonks we're talking. So if that's 3 people have murdered women, but then there's 1,000 people actually turned out. How many other people would have been supporting this rally? So it's a massive difference between the good people and the bad people. There aren't that many bad people. We've always got to think of that. It's just that they sometimes, you hear so much bad news. Yesterday I was really sort of sick of it. Feel a bit better today because these kind of things, rallies, etc., they can lift things a bit, because you've got to be aware that the majority of people are not twonks, not these kind of twonks anyway. People can be twonks in all sorts of different ways, but being a murderer is a whole nother thing. Hi, Ali. Okay. Her name is Hannah. Oh. So there's a young man who's not murdered a woman. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is Sissy. She's the one who organised the march. As I say, she was the one that was attacked the year before. They've made all these fantastic signs to take along. And there's the pictures of the 3 women. Good God. So Miss Young's mother, Tracy, made an emotional plea at the rally, saying that moving on without her daughter seems impossible. It might be goodbye, Becky, but your story lives on. Violence against women has to stop, she says. Miss Young's little sister, Jessica, said it was bittersweet standing on stage because it was too late to save her sibling, but there was hope other lives could be saved. The Young family thanked the crowd for standing up against violence to women and offered their condolences to the Murphy and Maguire families. I will always miss my beautiful sister. Fly high, Beck. Enough is enough. So the Enough is Enough snap rally against men's violence in Ballarat was organised by former Greens Senate candidate Sissy Austin. And Sissy was attacked by a stranger nearby the National Park where Miss Murphy disappeared. So it's always good when people get together to protest. I think protest is really important. Rallies are really important. Of course, in the UK, they're practically illegal now to hold a rally, unfortunately. That's what the UK is sort of descending into a fascist state. But at least in Australia, you can still go and do a rally, it looks like. Being a woman should not be a death sentence. Silence hides violence. So Ballarat councillors were also seen at the march, along with residents brandishing homemade signs. Girls just want to have fun and feel cross out the feel, have fun and feel safe. Yeah. She matters, Hannah Maguire. Oh. It's time to come together to stand against violence and murder of women in our community. Miss Austin said, women are not feeling safe in our town. Women are living on eggshells, living on edge. I mean, it must be awful. Must be awful. I mean, at least they're all in custody, the twonks who've done these things, or the two boys are in custody. And of course, Rebecca's partner, he killed himself afterwards. So at least he's not a threat to, you know, if it was him that killed Rebecca, because as I say, they've got to have an investigation. At least he's not a threat to the community anymore. But it must make you feel very, very insecure. So Councillor Belinda Coates said the motivating factor for the rally was the loss of Miss Young, Miss Murphy and Miss Maguire. Their lives matter, all lives matter, Miss Coates told the rally. And that is true, isn't it? All lives matter. All lives matter. Even those twonks' lives matter. Everyone here has been impacted by gender-based violence. We see you, we hear you, we believe you. We're here with a good dose of rage, a lot of anger. And Miss Coates said the crowd could channel love and rage into change. There are people watching Ballarat. Exactly, this isn't a Ballarat issue, but it's a national issue and it's a global issue. You know, we're watching it, we're from all different parts of the world. These things go on not only in Ballarat. You know, yesterday I did a video about 3 women in London over the past couple of weeks. 3 women in London murdered by men. So it is a global issue. You know, as I always say, it concerns everyone, not just women. You know, it could be your mother, your sister, your daughter, your auntie, your cousin, your niece. You know, it doesn't, you know, if you're a man, you're still impacted. And there's, you know, her children, she had young children as well. Anyway, so she has left her husband, and we saw how devastated Mick was. We did see that. Say their names. Wow. A lot of people not scared, angry. Yeah, women's lives matter, but all lives matter. Not one more. There will be more, unfortunately. You can be sure there will be more. Stop killing women. Angry women will change the world. She stands for all women. I like this one as well. Men of quality do not fear equality. And it's true, you know, if you're real men aren't threatened by women. Hi, Tracy. Real men, you know, should celebrate women. You know, men and women offer different things to the world. And they're all important things. You know, women aren't more important than men, and men aren't more important than women. You know, people are important. You know, and I think when people sort of start thinking like that, instead of divisions or women this and men that, and I love this picture. This is a very, very evocative picture because, of course, you've got these boys here as well. This boy holding flowers and things, you know, and I don't know what excuse those young twonks are going to come up with for what they've done. But I tell you what, there are some young men, they wouldn't even dream of doing that, even if they were, you know, treated like absolute shit by a girl or whatever, you know, and it does happen, of course, doesn't it? Because girls aren't perfect either. But they still would never, ever think of murdering somebody, you know. So even whether they've been taking drugs or drinking or whatever, there's so many people wouldn't even think about it. But yeah, I love that picture, because look, you can see all the different ages of the men, the women, girls. You know, there's just such a range. It's not just all women there, and it's not just all young women. It's not just all old women. It's a complete mixture. And then you've got the men again, all different ages, from boys to older men. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. So Miss Murphy, Miss Young and Miss Maguire should still be with us here today, Miss Austin added. Hi, Chumba. Men's violence needs to be called out. We also need men to stand with us in the fight. Men have to call each other out as well, because especially boys, I think, you do get this. Boys don't want to get involved, or men don't want to get involved. But if you see anything or hear anything that you think is like not right, you have to speak up. You have to tell people that their behaviour, even your own son, you have to say, look, that's not right to treat a woman like that. Anyway, and also you have to tell women not to treat men badly. We shouldn't treat anyone badly. So the federal MP for Ballarat, Transport Minister Catherine King, said the violence which happened to the 3 slain women happened to women in the community every day. After so many reports, after so many inquiries, after so many deaths, Spain is the same. And Spain is making a concerted effort at the moment to deal with gender violence, very strict laws now, very quick prosecutions. But there still is, it's been a big problem in Spain for years. And during COVID, so many women were murdered during COVID. Can you imagine? God, it was bad enough for everyone, wasn't it, COVID? But imagine being trapped in a house with someone that, who was getting more and more frustrated, because at least maybe you'd get some relief sometimes, but during COVID, you would never get away from them, and they'd be in an even worse mood because of COVID for whatever reasons. And so many women were murdered in Spain during COVID. It seemed like every day I was going on Twitter, because I follow Pedro Sanchez on Twitter or X. Every day it seemed, oh, my condolences go out to blah, de, blah, de, blah, and, this must never happen again. And it was like nearly every day during COVID, some poor woman was murdered by her partner. Anyway, for Spain, at least they are trying to do something, whether... I haven't looked at the figures, so I'm presuming there's been a reduction. I don't know. After so many reports, after so many inquiries, after so many deaths, every space should be and must be safe wherever we are. That's right. We shouldn't feel that we can't go in a forest, or you should be able to go wherever you want. It should be safe wherever you are. It's men who need to change. As she says, to cheers and applause. The Hamilton family joined the rally, holding signs with the dead women's names and a placard reading, "Men of quality do not fear equality." Grace Hamilton, 19. Hi, Maltese. Where is it now? Grace Hamilton, 19, said she was there to spread the message that women should not have to live in fear. I shouldn't have to worry about myself when I want to go for a run or when I'm home by myself. So there's another good sign. Boys will be boys. Boys crossed out, held to account. Yeah. It's a very pretty place, isn't it? The architecture, etc. Is that typical of Australia? They sort of... I've never been to Australia, so I have no idea about anything really in Australia. But yeah, they have this, what do you call that architecture? But anyway. And they had all their lights going at the end when it went dark. It's a pioneers. Of course, yeah, it was the gold rush town, wasn't it? Yeah. So Ballarat women, Grace and Lisa, have a family connection. Their niece was best friends with Miss Maguire. Lisa's personally experienced family violence and said that the Ballarat community is determined to raise awareness of the issue. The Ballarat police were doing all they could within the bounds of the law, Lisa said, but family violence perpetrators were not doing the counselling they should. Meredith Barclay of Bunyan Young went to the rally to show solidarity for women across all sectors of society who have suffered violence. Miss Barclay has a 23-year-old daughter who no longer wants to walk in the bush since the killings. It has impacted people's sense of safety and right to walk alone. Okay, so that's that. Now, what else did I want to show? There's a few things that I wanted to show. I think I've shown that already. Oh no, I've got this one to show. I don't think I've shown this yet. Or did I? Maybe I did. What we're going to look at now. Oh, yeah, first of all, I keep remembering I've got so many things to show you. So Mick has obviously released some new family photos. He's released some new family photos, which we've seen a couple of them on previous video, but I just wanted to show you them. Look, this is a photo we saw. I don't know if you saw this in a previous video, but this is a photo obviously quite a few years ago. But you know, I just think Samantha looks exactly the same. She doesn't seem to have changed that much, does she? Yeah. And Mick, he just looks slimmer, really. I wouldn't say he really looks any different. Hi, Pauline. So it's lovely. I mean, it's sad because obviously photos in happier times. Mick revealed that they'd been married, I think it was 26 years, wasn't it? They met in the local pub. Here's another lovely picture of them both together. Yeah. So just wanted to show you those pictures. I want to do a little tribute video sooner or later for Samantha, but I want to wait until she's found. Okay, so now we're going to look at the video that the other creator made, which shows us why it's taking so long for the police to find Samantha. I just do not think we can underestimate how difficult this job is, you know. And it's all right saying, oh, well, you've just got to do this and you've just got to do that, all hippie. And I know that, you know, you're as passionate as anyone for Samantha to be found, and I know that, you know, anger comes out of frustration, but I'm sorry, I think they've got a very, very difficult task, and I think they're throwing everything they've got at it, and I think they will find her. But, you know, you cannot underestimate how difficult this task is, I think. So so this channel is Ninja Chihuahua. She's not very far away from the area, so she's been able to make this video, give me her permission. She's given me her permission to show it. So go over to her channel, give her a little like and subscribe to say thank you, because these sort of things, they are invaluable when you're not in the area. Needle in a haystack. Most definitely a needle.
This is another video for Vicki Marie, all her wonderful subscribers and members
Thank you.
in relation to the Samantha Murphy case. Of course, for anyone interested in the Samantha Murphy case. So I commented in my last Samantha Murphy video that I would head out to the state forest near me and do a quick video of the surroundings to give you an idea.
Oh, stopped it by mistake. Sorry. Oh, I've turned the volume off.
Through state forest pretty much There are private properties dotted along the place, but they're few and far between. Mostly it's just state forest either side of.
Oh, what I've realised is when I try and I know. Sorry, I've worked out what I've done now. Hang on. Let's just go back a little bit because sorry.
To the Samantha Murphy case. Of course, for anyone interested in the Samantha Murphy case. So I commented in my last Samantha Murphy video that I would head out to the state forest near me and do a quick video of the surroundings to give you an idea of what it was like. So I thought that while I was giving a bit of the narrative, I'd actually share some of the drive with you. So the road that I'm going along right now is a road that runs through state forest pretty much. There are private properties dotted along the place, but they're few and far between. Mostly it's just state forest either.
I mean, just looking at this, this it's just massive. So, and not only that, it's not clear land. It's not like desert land, or where it's easy to see if there's, it's easy to see things. It's not. It's scrubland. It's trees, bushes. It's the bush. So it's difficult. It's not like you can just see things easily, like you might in desert land.
Side of the road. Now, this is actually really, really close to one of the main centres in Bendigo. You wouldn't know it. The entire time that I was on this road, I saw one vehicle, and you'll see where I caught up with that vehicle later because you can see the dust flying up behind it once I hit the dirt road. But despite being fairly close to shops and schools and everything else, you can see that this is pretty isolated. Now, just going with that, when you talk about Victoria, the population, now size-wise, we're the smallest state, I believe.
Oh my God, the smallest state. God knows what the other states are like then. And it just, again, I think if you don't live in an area like that, you cannot get your head around it, how vast it is. Because, if you live in a little town or a little village, or even if you live in a city, you cannot imagine what it's like out in these areas. And there's another case that's going on at the moment of the two women that have disappeared, haven't they, in... oh God, I've forgotten where it was, but it's somewhere right out in the boonies, and people were, some people were on the chat of a video I was watching about that case. These two women went for a custody changeover, and it was the mother of the children, and she took her friend with her for moral support, and they both disappeared. And the police have said that there is definitely foul play. That's all really the police have released on that case, that they found the abandoned car. It looks like there's signs of foul play. And they are looking for these two women. It's a horrible case, actually. Anyway, well, I'll go into that another time. But the point I'm trying to make is somebody had said in one of the chats, oh, I wouldn't go for a changeover, custody changeover in that area. It's too remote. And somebody from locally from the area put a comment on and said, but this is normal where we live. This is normal. You wouldn't think it was a strange place to do a custody change this is what, this is nothing. This is what we deal with every day. This is where we live. This is where we drive. It's like somewhere like the Hills of Eyes sort of territory. It's miles of sort of really isolated road. So, but if you lived there locally, that would be what you would have to do, because that's what people do. And they're probably, the woman maybe felt safe on an open, expansive road. I don't know. But anyway, they weren't safe, and it doesn't look very good, but they haven't found them. They haven't found the girls yet, the women yet.
Canberra doesn't count because that's a capital territory, not a state. But as far as states go, we are the smallest state size-wise. The population in Victoria, I looked up all these figures for you. The population in Victoria is round about 6.9 million people. And as far as the distribution of the population, that equates to one person per 23.5 kilometres, or one person per 15.5 miles. And you have to factor in also that 70% of our population in Victoria live in Melbourne, so around the capital city. So once you start getting...
So that's interesting, isn't it? 70% of the people live in Melbourne, so it's only a tiny percentage really in comparison that live in these other areas. Interesting.
Away from the population centres, you get more of this. In terms of state forests, there is 8 million hectares of public land in Victoria. And within that 8 million hectares of public land, there is 3.1 million hectares of state forest. So this is what a lot of Victoria looks like. This is why it's like a needle in a haystack.
It's just endless, isn't it? And it all does look the same as well. I mean, it's beautiful, really. If you were going and running on the trails and things, it's beautiful. I love trees, woodland. But you can see how difficult it is
for Victoria Police to find Samantha. It's not an easy task. And when you live somewhere like Ballarat, then you're quite accustomed to making a quick dash down to Melbourne. It's only a 2-hour drive. So people in these regional areas will think nothing of a quick dash down to Melbourne and back in a day, doing a 4-hour round trip. So while at the moment they're focusing very heavily in the Ballarat area, and there's so much state forest around the Ballarat area, let's be realistic about this too. This is a young man who his father played football, he played football, and he's also worked as an electrician. He will have travelled to multiple different areas to play football. He will have travelled around heaps in his electrician work. So chances are that he's not worried about going further out.
Hello, baby.
And chances are that he knows of a lot more places than what state police are giving him credit for. I will point out, however, and I'd love to know if someone can tell me if they seized his vehicle, because there is a lot of vehicle forensics that can be done. I don't know the time frame that it takes to do that, and perhaps...
Yeah, they did seize his vehicle, Ninja. They seized his vehicle quite a while ago. I wonder if that's not some of the evidence that they've, why they're searching targeted areas. If some of that evidence maybe has come from his vehicle, because of course vehicles give up a lot of evidence, don't they? Not only if he's had Samantha's body in there, not only if they've got his phone pings to see the areas that he's gone to, but also, what sometimes it picks up, the vehicles pick up fauna, don't they, and insects and foliage and things. And sometimes the police get lucky and these things are only found in one particular area. So yeah, they may well have got information from his vehicle. I expect that the targeted searches that they're doing are based on where the car went, where maybe other people went who they might think have helped him or whatever. His phone pings, they're making targeted searches for a reason. But, even when they make a targeted search, I think the point that I'd like to make is not even say they knew for certain, like this area that Ninja's just travelled there in this sort of 6 minutes, in a car. That's just 6 minutes in a car. So imagine the police knew for sure that he'd been in that area and they had to search that terrain on each side of that road that Ninja's just travelled on for 6 minutes. How long would just that take? And if he's been to other places, they've probably got loads of things to check through, but they'll find her.
That was one of the bits of intel that police had when they went and did their search. But his vehicle would be fairly new. It would have what they call it a black box, a vehicle black box. And the vehicle forensics that can be done are phenomenal. They can access all GPS data. They can access what devices were connected to that vehicle. Not only that, but they can access the data from the devices that were connected to that vehicle. They can also access information with regards to ignition cycles. So how long the car was on for at any one time, how long it was turned off for in between ignition cycles.
Yes, that's very interesting as well. And that helped to catch a killer. They call him the sat-nav killer because the guy was he Polish or some Eastern European country. He kidnapped his wife. She tried to leave him. How dare she try and leave him? And he kidnapped. There's CCTV footage. It's very chilling of her coming out of work and him just grabbing her. He takes her off. He takes her, puts her in the van, and about half an hour later, probably during that half an hour, he murdered her. Maybe even there was RAPE involved as well. Possibly, we don't know. He then drove off back to his own country. And he was caught by his sat-nav because the sat-nav, I don't know whether it was actually intrinsic to the car or whether it was a separate sat-nav. It showed his journey and places like Ninja's saying there, places that he stopped and how long he stopped for. He originally was going to drop off the body somewhere in the UK, but I think he either got disturbed or he couldn't find a suitable place. Anyway, finally, the police caught him because they realised that he stopped in a place in his own country and stopped for about an hour. So then they found out, imagine this, the police in that country had already found her body, but they didn't know who she was. So there hadn't been a connection between them. But when the police went to the police of that country and said, look, this is the area we want to target where we think this man may have buried his wife, the police said, oh, yeah, we have a body. We have a Jane Doe from that area. And so that was his wife, and he was caught and he was prosecuted and he's probably given 15 years in prison. I don't know how long he was given. Again, I need to do a video on that one. But it's very interesting. It's amazing what they can tell these days. You know, we give off gosh, we can't go anywhere, do anything if it's not CCTV that will catch us. It's our car sat navs, or it's our phone pings, you know. And it's, some people moan about it, but everybody wants a phone though, don't they, you know. But also the thing is, it's good in one way, because at least when it comes to catching killers, it is helpful. And I really think that the sort of it's very difficult to be a serial killer these days, because I do think these twonks, especially Patrick, probably could have ended up being a serial killer, you know, if there were no electronic clues, no electronic data, etc. He could quite easily have gone on and killed more women, but he's been caught, hopefully, after his first one. And I think that's going to happen more and more. So whereas years ago, these serial killers just travelled randomly across the country, especially a big country like America that crossed state lines and things weren't connected, now things are more connected. So hopefully that's a good thing.
What distance it travelled in between ignition cycles. How many passengers were in the car at any given amount of time. So there is actually a video in my playlist connected to the Kylie Rodney case, and it's a fairly recent one that talks about vehicle forensics. So if you are interested and want to learn a little bit more about that, I'll add a link to it at the bottom of this video. But definitely, it's not just about getting data from the phone, but if they have his vehicle, they can get a lot of data from his vehicle. This area that I'm driving through now is a campground just off the side. This is in the state forest, and I didn't want to stop because there's quite a lot of people camping there at the moment, so I just did a quick lap and headed back out again. But it's, you know, it's private, it's secluded. Now, if you look carefully at the sides of the roads in this area, you can already see a bit of what I'm talking about in terms of the ground being super uneven and there being different mounds all over the place. You've got some of that bushgrass going on, but at the same time, you still have a lot of the mounds and stuff all over the place. And that's just everywhere. I probably should have pointed that out earlier in the video. But then after going to this campground, I actually went further up the road and just pulled off at one of the many random pull-offs on the side of the road. So I mentioned in my previous video that the state forests are full of tracks that are off-road tracks that have been made by people four-wheel driving. And you can see why. You can see how it's it is a little.
So you see, it is, and then add on to all this of just the vastness of it and the uneven ground and mounds, and which, you know, at the end of the day, out you've got to then investigate all the mounds, which mounds are freshly dug. You know, this is why you need a vast amount of people to cover these areas, and dogs. But also then you've got the mine shafts. So, you know, people will say, oh, go down each of the mine shafts, but you know how many there are and how long it will take. You know, you've just got to, they're doing targeted searches. They're doing just all they can, I think.
A little bit of a crumbly kind of soil, but at the same time, it's a dry soil. It doesn't get like really boggy because it hasn't got that heavy, loamy kind of thing going on. But if you notice, as I'm driving along here, there are multiple spots where vehicles have basically pulled off to the side of the road. And honestly, the only limitations really are your vehicle. And you'll see.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say is she hasn't seen another vehicle. Have we even seen another vehicle during this whole video? So that's how remote it is, how you can do it without anyone seeing you. I don't think I've even seen one other vehicle during this whole 10 minutes so far of this video. You know, nothing. And as she says, lots of places you can pull over to the side. If you've got an SUV like Patrick had, you can probably go a little bit further into the trees, etc. It seems like the land, it won't have been boggy at that time of year. It was hot, wasn't it? It was hot when Samantha went missing. It was right in the middle of summer, so the land will not have been boggy at the time. It will have been hard, so he could have driven off. You just think, God, where are you supposed to look in this place? So suppose he would have pulled up here where we can just see in the right. Now, could have pulled up there and dragged a body into the bush, or because he's got an SUV, he could have driven into the bush. It's almost an impossible task, but I don't think it will be impossible. I do think they will find it.
See that when we get to this area where I stopped, because where I stopped is just a classic pullover area.
So Popeye the Pirate Pug says we've just seen one vehicle parked. They were probably disposing of a body. Well, what were they doing? What were they doing parked? You know, but it's true. You just, if you did see, gosh, if I saw a vehicle now parked, that'd be the first thing, because of doing all these videos about true crime. The first thing I'd be thinking is, what are they disposing of a body? Why are they parked there? Because do you remember the footage of Brian, of Gabby Petito's murderer, of her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie? That was how he was caught. Well, not, he wasn't caught, was he? But that's how Gabby Petito's body was found, was because a YouTuber was driving along, or somebody taking dash cam footage in that national park and saw Gabby's van, and the police went and searched throughout just in that vicinity and found Gabby's body. And that was in a massive state park, wasn't it? And Gabby Petito, I still say to this day, she would not have been found without those YouTubers and that video that they took. Because you do notice in these areas when there's a vehicle pulled off, don't you think, well, what are they doing? And of course, those particular YouTubers, they noticed it because the plates were, was it Florida or where they came from anyway? It was the plates from where they came from. So they were thinking, oh, if we see anyone, we'll say hi, you know. Not realizing that they were actually going to get involved in that case, that they actually were instrumental in bringing that little girl home to her family.
But when you actually stop and you have a look around, you can see how easily it would be to head further in with a vehicle. And because it is so dry, single vehicle tracks aren't going to be overly obvious, I don't believe. So this is the area that I was telling you about. Now I've done a video while I walk around, and I'm actually going to leave the sound on with that part of the video, because all you will hear is me walking around, birds in the background, and a brief bit of sound of, I think it was a helicopter flew over while I was there. But just have a look at all the different mounds, the ruts. Hopefully, I'm not sure if this video really does show it off as well, but hopefully you can see also how easy it would be to slip over into this pullover area. This isn't actually any kind of designated public area. This is just a bit off the side of the road where I managed to pull in with my car, and now I've walked a few metres in.
Gosh.
And you can see there's nobody around.
Well, I'm a bit worried about. I'm glad if I was watching this live, I'd be worried about you, Ninja. My God, it's so isolated. So yeah, so imagine you, the police there. I mean, obviously, if you had dogs, it helps. But where would you look? So you're looking there. You've got a lump here. You've got a mound there. You've got a mound here. Mounds over there. Do you know? Like it's just enormous. There's so many places that Patrick could have hid her body in this sort. This is only one sample, of course. You know, there's loads of different trails and state forests and whatever. You know, it's not just one even. So there's loads of them. And you can see that he would have had the time to do it. You know, bury her maybe, cover her over with something. Rocks, you know, there's so many different ways that he and any accomplices he might have had in hiding the body, who knows? We don't know that yet. I still feel that there is going to be more arrests because the police said that at the beginning. They said multiple people. They talked about multiple search warrants. Now they are saying that nobody else is involved, but it's likely, I think it's likelier that someone is involved, even if it's just in the hiding of the body, not in the actual murder itself. So I think this is brilliant. Thank you so much, Ninja, because it does give us an idea of this horrendous task the police have got.
Mounds, rough soil. Some areas you get the debris. But this is what police are contending with.
Yeah.
Searching.
And to be honest, this is sparser than some of the other things I've seen. Like, you know, when Jake Cassar, the bushcraft guy, the crocodile Dundee guys, you know, he went right into, it was like thick bushes and things, you know. So this looks more open than some of the other places I've seen. Hi, Alana.
For Samantha. 3.1 million hectares of state forest. And we don't necessarily know. They hopefully know how far that Patrick went in his vehicle. But you can...
Yeah, the police will have more data, obviously, than we've got. They'll know how far he travelled. They'll know his phone pings. You know, there might be quite a bit of information. They've got digital information, and now that they've had permission from the phone companies to look at everyone's phone information, and of course, we must not forget that ping. On the day that Samantha disappeared, later on that day, wasn't it, round about 5 o'clock in the evening, Patrick's phone Samantha's phone did ping, didn't it, in the Buninyong area. But of course, you know, he may have put her one place on the Sunday and then he may have moved her to another place later on when, you know, it all got to sort of... before he was under suspicion, because obviously he wasn't under suspicion right from the beginning. We still don't know what made the police suspect him. We don't know what reasons they've got for charging him, but they've obviously got good reason, haven't they?
Can see why it is such a hard task.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much, Ninja. That was so interesting, wasn't it? So interesting to give us an idea of the terrain. For those of us who don't live in those areas, we don't know. So it's very, very interesting. And then, yes, Popeye, Boris Ristevsky. I think I did a video about him. And it took, I think it was a year and a half, wasn't it, to find his wife. And didn't his brother turn up when the police went to recover the body? His brother turned up at the scene and said he'd just come to pay his respects. But it seems likely to me, for the investigations or the research that I did looking into that case, it seemed likely to me that his brother helped him in some way. I think that was a hell of a case. But yeah, it took. And the other one, of course, that I haven't done a video about yet is Baden Clay. The guy that was related to the Baden Clay from the Scout movement. He murdered his wife, and they didn't find her body for quite a while either, I don't think. So, he was another twonk who said that she'd left him. God, I think it's always even worse when they sort of try and make the victims out to be, child abandoners, or saw something going off with another man. That's even worse when they try and or say they're an menopausal alcoholic or whatever they say. When they try and blacken the name of the victim, I think that's always even worse, isn't it? So, but yeah, that was great. Thank you so much, Ninja Chihuahua. Yeah, quizzical. He was having an affair. He'd had a long-term affair with that silly woman. Whenever I watch his girlfriend or being interviewed, I just think, oh, shut up. Because, she just she just didn't seem to realise what a twonk he was. But anyway, I shouldn't say that really, because these twonks, they're very good at gaslighting people, aren't they? So he probably did that to her. Okay, so yeah, it was very interesting that to watch. And if I hear anything I don't know about this case you're talking about, Alana, about the Bondi Mall stabbing spree, there's always something going on, isn't there? At the end of the day, there's always something going on. So have a good day or a good afternoon or a good evening, depending on where you are. I'll be back really soon, as always, for the next video. Now, I've got a little emoji here now. Let's see. Yeah. Remember to always live and love wisely, carefully. Take care of yourself. And I will see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God always go with you. So thank you for being here with me, and have a great Saturday or Sunday, depending on where you are.